Hello everyone, it's Evie here, and today I'm talking about what it means to be spiritual. And this is really the basis of what I do. I share my spiritual experiences and I share the lessons I've learned to help you all along your spiritual path. And my website is called Supposedly Spiritual, and this is really what sparked this idea of this question of what it means to be spiritual, because people will ask me, well, why is it called supposedly spiritual instead of something like definitely spiritual? And the reason for that is because I'll tell people my experiences sometimes and they'll say, well, that's not spiritual. I do that all the time. And it really got me asking, well, what does it mean? What is spirituality and what are we doing here? And so in exploring the answer to that question, I realized that to be spiritual for me in the broadest sense means to be yourself. What you do is going to vary from person to person. Your spiritual practice will not look the same as somebody else's. It might be similar, you might have similar things you do, but other things, like the whole totality of your spiritual practice, will be different from somebody else's, and that's okay. It's about exploring who you are, exploring what you like, what you want to do, and that's what it means to be spiritual. You don't have to follow these trends of, like, a lot of people think that to be spiritual you have to be vegan, or to be spiritual you have to do yoga, or you have to buy all these crystals, or you have to have like 5 tarot card decks. And you don't have to do any of that. If that's not for you, then don't do it just to try to be spiritual, to be spiritual enough. That's not what this is about. It's not about following the crowd. It's about connecting with your heart, with your own soul. It's about doing what you love to do. And anything really can be a spiritual practice. I've heard some people will drink coffee and they'll be really mindful about it and really grateful for the coffee that they're drinking. And that's part of their spiritual practice. For me, I don't drink coffee anymore, but when I did, it wasn't for a spiritual practice. It was more for the taste of it. It was because I liked the taste, and that was it for me. And that doesn't mean I'm less spiritual. That doesn't mean these people are more spiritual or less. It just means that we're different people and we're following different paths, and that's okay. One thing I love to do that I consider to be a spiritual experience is rock concerts. They're so much fun, and I love the music. I love going to see my favorite bands, and I absolutely love feeling connected to my heart and my soul and everyone else around me. And to me, that's a huge spiritual experience. And it's so much fun, and to some people, it's just a fun thing to do. It's not a spiritual experience to everyone, and that's okay. I come at it with the mindfulness of, this is something that makes my soul feel good, so I'm doing this. And to some people, it's like, I just really like this band, and that's why I'm going. That's it, and that's okay. We're different people. We can do the same things for different reasons. That doesn't make one of us better than the other. And it's okay to do things for different reasons. And we don't have to follow the crowd. We don't have to do things that everybody else says. And another thing I really want to talk about is, like, there's this idea that to be spiritual means that you have to be perfect. And I have talked about that already. But I want to talk about it more in the sense of, like, you can't swear to be spiritual. How can you be spiritual and swear? I swear a lot. I try not to for the sake of these videos, but in my day-to-day life, I really do end up swearing quite a bit, and I don't swear to be malicious at people. It's just like I grew up watching SpongeBob, and there's an episode that's about swearing, and it's called Sailor Talk, and they mention it as sentence enhancers. And for me, swearing is really just sentence enhancers, and it doesn't make me less spiritual because I swear. And another thing is you can't be spiritual and have tattoos, and I have tattoos. And for me, they mean something to me. I don't get tattoos just for the sake of it. Uh, but if you want to, go for it. It doesn't make you less spiritual to have tattoos. It just means that you're doing what you want to do, and that's okay. Um, there's a lot of things that people will say, oh, you can't do this to be spiritual. You can't drink coffee. You can't drink alcohol. You can't do this, that, and the other thing. Otherwise, you're not spiritual enough. And it's not about that at all. It's not about restricting yourself. I really don't drink alcohol all that much anymore these days, but I do once in a while. I'll have a glass of wine, and that doesn't make me any less spiritual. It doesn't make anyone any less spiritual. Unless they don't want to be, then fine. It's up to you. It's up to you what you do to be spiritual. Sometimes I will drink hot chocolate, and that'll be a spiritual experience for me. I love doing cacao ceremonies, so I'll have ceremonial grade cacao. But if I'm really craving a ceremony and I don't have cacao on hand, I will just make a cup of hot chocolate and make it with intentions. And I think we've all had hot chocolate, and you can attest that it's probably not a spiritual experience when you drink it. And sometimes when I drink it, I'm just drinking it for the warmth of it. But sometimes when I really want a cacao ceremony and I don't have ceremonial grade cacao, I will just drink hot chocolate, and I will make it with the intention. And that's what spiritual is about. It's about your intention, the intention that you put into what you are doing. Being mindful of, okay, I'm doing this to connect with myself. I'm doing this to connect with others. And that's what it's about. It's not about following the crowd and doing what everyone else is doing. I mean, you can absolutely follow the crowd if that's what you want to do, but it's not necessary. You can listen to other people's point of view. You can listen to other people's interests and take an interest in that and see if it works for you. But if it's not, you do not have to feel obligated to continue doing this thing just to be spiritual enough. It's like, that's doing a great disservice to yourself. You should do things that you want to do. Definitely explore new things, sure, but do it for yourself. Do it to connect to who you are, to find out what you like. Is this a thing that you want to keep doing? Do you want to incorporate this into your practice? Great. If not, you'll find something else. Move on to the next thing. You don't have to be like everyone else. You don't have to do the same things. It's like you can't watch superhero movies and be spiritual. That's not true. You can watch whatever you want. You can like whatever you want. As long as you're being yourself and you're being mindful of, okay, this is what I like, this is who I am, and following who you are. That's what makes you spiritual. It's about your intentions. It's about being yourself. And I think that's really all I have to say about it. You don't have to listen to what everybody else says, what anybody says about what makes you spiritual. You know what makes you spiritual. You know what you're doing. Just be yourself. That's the important thing. If that's the one thing you take away from this video, then I feel like I've done my job. Just be yourself and I would love to hear what unconventional thing you do as a spiritual practice. I've shared a few of mine, and I would definitely love to hear yours. So I will see you next time.